Your dinner just deployed chemical warfare, and you're the casualty. Slice an onion, and suddenly your eyes are like, we're under attack! Because you kind of are. Inside that innocent veggie is a booby-trapped chemistry set that, when cut, assembles a tiny tear gas molecule on the fly. It floats up, pokes your eyes, and your body responds with, flush everything, aka crying over vegetables. So what exactly is this invisible jerk? And how does chopping trigger a full-on microscopic ambush? Onions don't make you cry out of spite, they accidentally gas you like a tiny, polite supervillain. Inside each onion cell are separate compartments, like a very organized pantry. One side holds sulfur-containing compounds, the other holds enzymes. The moment your knife slices through, you're basically hosting a chaotic family reunion and everyone starts yelling. The enzyme alliinase meets its sulfur buddies and kicks off a reaction that produces a gas called Syn-propanethial-S-oxide, yes, a name that sounds like it should come with a warning label and a tiny hazmat suit. This gas is volatile, meaning it happily floats up into the air and into your face. Now here's where your eyes get dramatic. They're extremely sensitive to anything that looks like chemical mischief. So when this gas hits the moisture on your eyes, it forms a mild sulfuric compound. Your eyes go, absolutely not, and hit the panic button. That panic button is tears. Lots of them. It's not emotion, it's a full-blown rinse cycle. Your tear glands are basically firefighters showing up because someone lit a match. And the wild part? The onion isn't trying to defend itself from you personally, it evolved this system to deter animals from eating it. Unfortunately, your kitchen counts as a battlefield, and you walked in holding a knife. So every time you chop onions and start tearing up, just remember, your eyes think they're under chemical attack, and they are responding with all the grace and subtlety of a sprinkler system going off in a grocery store. The wildest part about onions is that the thing making you cry doesn't even exist until you start chopping. It's like the onion waits for you to mess with it before activating its defense mode. Whole, intact onions are basically harmless little spheres of calm. But the moment your knife comes in, you rupture those cells and unleash a cascade of chemistry. Think of it like popping a bunch of tiny chemical piñatas, except instead of candy, you get eye irritation and regret. Inside, there are precursor molecules called S-alk-N-yl-L-cysteine sulfoxides. Yes, chemistry loves complicated names. And when they meet the enzyme alliinase, they break down into sulfenic acids. Now, here's the twist. Another enzyme called lacrimatory factor synthase steps in and converts those acids into the infamous Syn-propanethial-S-oxide. That's the tear gas. So you're not just cutting an onion, you're actively manufacturing a fresh batch of airborne irritant in real time. It's like running a tiny chemical factory on your cutting board, except the only product is your own suffering. And because the reaction happens immediately, every slice you make releases more gas, which is why your eyes start to burn halfway through and not at the beginning. It's a gradual build-up, like the onion slowly escalating its complaint. So technically, onions don't come preloaded with tear gas, you create it. Which means, in a very real and slightly rude way, you are the one making yourself cry. The onion just set up the ingredients and waited for you to do the mixing. Your eyes are not being emotional, they are launching a full-scale cleaning operation. When that onion gas hits your eye, it dissolves in the thin layer of moisture covering your eyeball and forms a mild irritant. Now, your eyes are incredibly protective of themselves because, frankly, they're important and fragile and not easily replaceable. So the moment they detect anything even slightly suspicious, they go into overdrive. Special sensors on the surface of your eye send an urgent message to your brain. We have a situation. Your brain doesn't sit around and debate it, immediately signals your lacrimal glands to start pumping out tears. And not just a polite amount. We're talking full-on, open the floodgates levels of liquid. The idea is simple. Dilute the irritant and physically flush it out. It's like your eye decided to mop the floor by flooding the entire building. These reflex tears are different from the ones you cry when you're sad. They're more watery and designed specifically for rinsing. So when you're standing there over your cutting board, blinking rapidly and wondering why you're suddenly in a soap opera, your body is actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's protecting your vision by turning your face into a temporary water feature. The irony is that the more gas you produce, the more your eyes respond, creating a feedback loop of slicing and sobbing. It's not weakness, it's a very efficient, if slightly dramatic, defense system doing its job. If onions are chemical warfare, then your fridge and your faucet are basically peace treaties. Temperature plays a huge role in how fast chemical reactions happen, and when you chill an onion, you slow everything down. The enzymes get sluggish, like they just woke up from a nap and aren't ready to ruin your day yet. That means less of the tear-inducing gas gets produced in the first place. It's the difference between a hyperactive toddler on sugar and one wrapped in a blanket watching cartoons. Now, water works in a completely different way. When you cut an onion under running water or near a wet surface, that sneaky gas dissolves into the water before it can float up into your eyes. Remember, it loves moisture, that's how it irritates your eyes, so if you give it an easier, closer source of water, it'll happily go there instead of making the trip to your face. It's like redirecting a crowd away from your front door by opening a free buffet next door. Even something as simple as a sharp knife helps, because cleaner cuts cause less cellular chaos and release fewer of those reactive compounds. So if you've ever heard people say, put the onion in the fridge, or cut it under water, they're not just repeating kitchen folklore, they're quietly applying chemistry to avoid crying over dinner prep. It doesn't make you immune, but it definitely turns the onion from a tear gas grenade into more of a mildly annoying mist. Not all onions are equally dramatic. Some are basically chill, and others are out here causing emotional scenes in your kitchen. The amount of tear-inducing gas an onion produces depends on its variety, how it was grown, and even how fresh it is. Sweet onions, like Vidalius, tend to have lower levels of those sulfur-containing compounds, which means less raw material for the tear gas reaction. They're like the laid-back cousins of the onion family who don't start trouble at gatherings. On the other hand, sharper onions, like many yellow or white varieties, have higher sulfur content, which means more potential for eye irritation. Soil conditions matter too. Onions grown in sulfur-rich soil absorb more sulfur, which sounds great for flavor but terrible for your tear ducts. And then there's freshness. As onions age in storage, their internal chemistry can shift, sometimes making them more pungent and more likely to produce irritants when cut. So if you've ever noticed that one onion barely made you blink while another had you questioning your life choices, it's not random, it's chemistry, plus a bit of agricultural personality. You're essentially rolling the dice every time you pick one up at the store. It's like opening a mystery box labeled dinner ingredient, and occasionally discovering it also contains emotional experience. The takeaway is that onions are not consistent villains, they're more like unpredictable pranksters whose behavior depends on their background, their environment, and how long they've been sitting around waiting for you to slice into them.